What if I told you that one of the most important technologies in human history was never actually invented? Nobody sat down and figured it out. Nobody had a plan. It just happened. And the chain reaction it set off quite literally built civilization as we know it. To understand how, we need to go back 14,000 years. Before farming, before cities, before writing, humans were hunter-gatherers, constantly moving across the landscape, following food. They did not grow anything, they found it. And one of the things they found was wild grain, wheat and barley, growing in dense natural patches across the region we now call the Fertile Crescent. They harvested it, ground it between stones, mixed it with water, and made a thick paste. Not bread, just paste. Dense, gray, barely edible mush. It kept you alive. That was about all it did. But here is where something unexpected happened. Wild yeast is everywhere. Right now, it is floating in the air around you, sitting on the surface of every grain of wheat, living on your skin. It is invisible, and it is everywhere. And when someone in the ancient Middle East mixed grain and water and then simply forgot about it, that yeast landed in the paste and started eating the sugars inside it. Carbon dioxide was released. The paste bubbled. It expanded. It rose. It came alive. Now think about what that looked like to someone 14,000 years ago. They had no concept of microorganisms, no framework for fermentation. They came back to their food, and it was moving. Most researchers believe the first reaction was probably alarm, but they cooked it anyway. And what came out was something that had never existed before on Earth. Light, airy, with a crust that shattered when you broke it. What they had stumbled onto, entirely by accident, was leavened bread. But the accident did not stop there, because the exact same process was happening with liquid. Grain mixed with water and left to ferment did not just produce bread, it produced alcohol. Archaeologists excavating Rakhefet Cave in modern-day Israel found residue in stone mortars dating back 13,000 years, showing clear evidence of fermented grain beverages. Beer may actually predate bread itself, and this is where the science gets genuinely surprising. For millions of years, humans were nomadic. We followed food. We never stayed anywhere long enough to build permanent structures. But fermentation is not compatible with a nomadic lifestyle. You cannot brew beer while walking. You need to stay in one place. You need a reliable supply of grain, which means you need to plant it deliberately. The archaeological evidence suggests that humans in the Fertile Crescent began cultivating wild grain, not primarily for food, but to reliably reproduce the fermentation process they had accidentally discovered. We did not settle down because we were hungry. We may have settled down because we wanted to keep making that bubbling, transforming mistake on purpose. Agriculture, permanent settlements, the entire foundation of civilization may have started with forgotten grain paste. By 10,000 years ago, what began as an accident had become sophisticated technology. Ancient Egyptians became the most advanced bread makers in the ancient world. Researchers have identified over 40 distinct varieties of bread referenced in Egyptian texts. Egyptian bakers maintained living yeast cultures, feeding them, protecting them, passing them from baker to baker across generations. Workers who helped construct the pyramids were paid partly in bread and beer. The monuments we still travel thousands of miles to see were built by workers sustained by a 14,000-year-old accident.